Alright, let's give this a try again. See if I can get my swing on before I get called into work. Fuckers.
Sam, why is your head covered in bubble wrap? I'm not covered in life insurance. You should check out PolicyGenius.com. They compare all the best insurers to help you find the right policy. Super easy, like this. Compare and save, PolicyGenius.com. Closed captioning brought to you by InventHelp. Call 1-800-900-0202.
Do you like ideas for an invention or new product? Do you think companies would be interested in your idea? Do you want to try to get a patent? Then call InventHelp now for free information.
Welcome back. Breaking news. CNN can now confirm that President Trump asked a number of his top foreign policy advisors last summer about the possibility of invading Venezuela. Trump aides vigorously pushed back against the idea, as did fellow Latin American leaders who allegedly told Trump they did not want to see a U.S. invasion. CNN White House reporter Jeffrey Dunn now with more on this. I remember this moment last summer when the president in public said that military options were on the table, and that was enough for some people to be taken aback. What military options for Venezuela? But here you have, I mean, even this is quite a military option invasion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that was at Bedminster back in August. He was standing alongside UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, openly talking about the possibility of a military option, not taking it off the table as he was considering these additional sanctions. But the day before, the president was in a meeting with several of his top foreign policy advisors, including then National Security Advisor H.R. Minister, and he asked them about the possibility of invading Venezuela. He asked them whether that might be an option to consider. Now, let's be clear, the senior administration official who confirmed this to me emphasized that there were no imminent plans for any kind of a military strike on Venezuela, and characterized this really as the president thinking out loud. But he didn't just do it one time. He was doing it with his advisors, talking about the possibility of a military invasion of Venezuela, and then he also probed several Latin American leaders about it in the subsequent month. Colombia president and Latin American
out loud. If you then take that idea to Latin American leaders, that sounds like the president was seriously considering it.
Yeah, it seems like he was at least doing some kind of a focus group session with these Latin American leaders about invading Venezuela, which would obviously be a serious escalation of the U.S. response. We know this administration has been tough on Venezuela, imposing numerous sanctions, but this, of course, would be taking it to a whole new level.
Jeremy Dunn, thanks very much. For more context on this, let's bring in CNN intelligence and security analyst. He's also a former CIA operative, Bob Baer. Bob, so the president, White House is saying he was just thinking out loud here, but the president apparently took it seriously enough to go to other Latin American leaders and raise the idea of a U.S. invasion of Venezuela. You've been around government a while. How unusual is it for a president to raise that in this context?
Very unusual. It's very sensitive in South America, of course, Jim. U.S. troops there overthrowing a government is, beyond the pale. Then again, Venezuela is a mess. Its oil production has fallen off a cliff. It's chaos. People aren't being fed. The countries around Venezuela they're scared. Let's put it this way. A lot of refugees coming across the border. And I do know that this has been in the air for a while, a couple of years, about a possible coup d'etat against Maduro, the head of government in Venezuela. So the president has got wind of this. I understand that McMaster pushed back on this early on. Stay out of it. It's a mess. It looks like this has come back around, and the situation is ripe for a change there. So let's see where it goes.
Of course, McMaster is gone now, and we've seen a history of this president saying goodbye to advisors who challenge him, right, on some issues. Looking at this, you mentioned that this might have come from inside the country. You're saying, what was the idea of this proposed to the U.S., perhaps, by factions inside Venezuela?
Well, the way it usually works is exiles living outside of Venezuela will get wind of this or claim to the generals want to move against Maduro. They'll try to transmit those messages to the President, the National Security Council. Whether, in fact, there's a movement underway to get rid of Maduro in Venezuela, nobody knows for sure. But there's certainly not a lot of noise about it. But it's public as well. But a lot of people would like to get to this presidency. You've got to do something about Venezuela. It's only going to get worse. It's going to destabilize the countries around it. And, you know, he's listening clearly.
I mean, you talk about exiles encouraging invasion. Think Ahmed Chalabi in Iraq. It's worked before.
Yeah, great.
Bob there, thanks very much.
Thanks. Happy 4th.
Coming up, breaking with the president.
That's better.
Panel sides with the intelligence community's confident assessment that Russian President Vladimir Putin wanted Trump to win the 2016 election. I'll get reaction from Republican Congressman Tom Reed. That's just next. And later, trapped for another night. New video from inside a flooded cave where a youth soccer team waits to be rescued. Is learning to scuba dive going to be their only hope of getting out? And now for the ratings.
I'm a 4-year-old ring bearer with a bad habit of swallowing. And if you don't have the right coverage, you could be paying for that price you look bad yourself. So get an Allstate agent, you'd be better protected from mayhem like me.
With TripAdvisor, finding your perfect hotel at the lowest price is as easy as dates, deals, done. Simply enter your destination and dates and see all the hotels for your stay. TripAdvisor searches over 200 booking sites to show you the lowest prices, so you can get the best deal on the right hotel for you. Dates, deals, done. TripAdvisor. Visit TripAdvisor.com.
We use Angie's List because we can only great local
for any type of home project. I use Angie's List because it's free.
You can match my project with qualified pros.
Go to angieslist.com today.
It's Nutrisystem's Red Hot Sale. Celebrate summer and save 40% off every program, including Turbo 13. Lose up to 13 pounds and 7 inches overall in your first month. Lose weight fast. Money back guaranteed.
I'm Marie and I lost 50 pounds with Nutrisystem. I am so much healthier now.
Nutrisystem delivers your favorite foods made healthier, perfectly portioned to fuel and satisfy.
Count, measure, meeting, not with Nutrisystem.
Order your 28-day program right now, and we'll rush you Turbo 13 with the new Turbo Takeoff Week with new foods. Plus, a week of probiotic and delicious Turbo Shakes free to shrink your belly and lose weight fast.
You'll see results your very first week.
For a limited time, save 40% off every program.
Nutrisystem works.
Do it! Do it now! Don't wait! Go online or call 888-516-THEN and get shakes free plus 40% off.
Oh.
Can I say something very quickly?
Go, go, go.
Great TV comes in many forms.
There's something about watching that and going, it's not that. It's more cinematic looking. There's a whole new level on television.
The 2000s, Sunday at 9, only on CNN. Across the Bay Area, local business keeps the economy growing, and Fremont Bank is there, empowering business owners to achieve their vision. Since 1964, we've exceeded expectations as a lead innovator in the banking industry. Today, we're the only independent, locally owned, full-service bank in the Bay Area. Clients get unprecedented access to our executive team, and decisions are made locally, so we can respond in ways that other banks just can't. And that's the power of relationship banking at Fremont.
No, come on. Ball.
But I have big dreams.
And big plans.
So how can I
Damn
know
it.
that there's an 8 with crypto? How can I share new plans virtually?
How can I download
Virtual tools, zip, really big files. In seconds, not minutes, just like that.
like everything?
The answer's simple. I'll do no bonus stuff.
Dream more.
Dream faster. And above all,
Now,
The dream gig.
Now more businesses in more places can afford to dream gig. Comcast, building America's largest gig speed network.
Bah!
Today, a Senate committee led by a Republican and with a majority of Republican members is breaking with the president, saying not only did Russia meddle in the 2016 election, but that the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, specifically wanted Donald Trump to win and avert Hillary Clinton. The new bipartisan findings from the Senate Intelligence Committee are in stark contrast to findings from Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee, who sided with the president and said that Putin did not try to help Trump win. Following all of this for us has been seen political correspondent Sarah Murray. So Sarah, walk us through these findings.
Ah, damn it.
You know, quite
Ah.
worded. There was not a lot of, there was no wishy-washy in this. It was
reached these conclusions in a professional and transparent manner. They said there didn't seem to be any political pressure for them to reach these conclusions, that when they disagreed about it, there was a debate about it, and it was transparent. So
oh, come on.
all
Piece of
these
shit.
conclusions we saw from the intelligence community in 2017 that the president has doubted, they were sound.
So, Senate Intel investigation, of course, one of many intelligence agencies have made their own competent assessments, and in fact, over time have said that Russia's interference has been even greater than they initially realized. What are the various findings in the Senate report?
Well, let's start with who kind of believes what when it comes to this. You know, when we talked about the Senate report, we found, you know, that they agreed with the intelligence community, but there are a few people not on the same page as the Senate.
Same fucking shot as the driver.
Basically, President Trump.
Go!
It's
Nope.
with Russian President Vladimir Putin and a number of investigators in the House who are not agreeing with these conclusions from the Senate report, the same conclusions that the intelligence community put out in January 2017. Now let's look at the people who do believe this, who do believe that Russia meddled in the 2016 election when they did it to help Trump. It's a number of these intelligence agencies that you can see right here. Special Counsel Robert Mueller, who brought a number of charges against Russian officials as well as companies, the bipartisan Senate committee, as well as Democratic House investigators. So you see President Trump is in pretty slim company when it comes to doubting this issue of whether Russia tried to meddle in the election for his benefit.
Because the facts don't seem to support that position. Sarah Murray, thanks very much. I want to talk about this with a member of the House, Republican Congressman Tom Reed of New York. Congressman, thanks very much for taking time on the July 4th holiday.
Well, happy 4th to you, Jim. Thanks for having me on.
So let me ask you this. Who do you side with? Do you side with your Republican comments in the House who doubt the intel community's assessment that Russia interfered in part to hurt Hillary Clinton and help Donald Trump? Or do you agree with the Senate Intelligence Committee, the various intelligence agencies?
I do agree that the Russian meddling into our election did exist. They obviously tried to influence the election like they've done for decades before and other countries have done previously. But at the end of the day, the most important factor to me was the integrity of the election process was secure. The outcome of the election and the people's voice was heard in 2016. From my perspective, we need to wrap this investigation up and move forward because the country has problems that need to be solved.
Why is the president then still, just as recently as last week, expressing doubt that Russia was behind the interference at all?
Well, because there's no collusion. I mean, who knows what Russian leaders were.
To be clear, he did not.
Yeah, but who knows what a Russian mind is. Yeah.
No, he questioned whether Russia interfered in the election when the intelligence agencies, the Senate Intelligence Committee, are reaching very confident conclusions that that's exactly what Russia is. Why is the president doing that?
Well, I think because there's a fine line here between meddling and trying to influence by putting information out there and trying to sway the outcome of the election to a Russian conclusion that they want to achieve. But at the end of the day, the most biggest threat to the election process was the collusion or the lack of integrity of the process. And I think the president's been very clear, and I support the president's findings or conclusions on this. I see no evidence of collusion. I see no evidence of integrity broken. And so therefore, this election stands, and we should move forward. We need to be smart that people are going to try to meddle with our election process, but I trust the wisdom of the people and making sure that they filter that information and come to their conclusions they feel best for their future.
Isn't the president doing Putin's work for him when he undermines his own intelligence agency's assessment about Russian interference in the election? Of course, Russia's going to deny it. It's not in their interest to acknowledge it, but isn't he doing Putin's work for him by expressing those doubts?
No, I do not believe that's the case. I think, what the president is dealing with is a rehashing of issues where people are threatening collusion and that the outcome of the election was persuaded not by the people but some outside force. Bottom line, the people spoke in 2016. It's time to move forward with this election that has occurred and improve the opportunity that this administration has for us to bring change to Washington, D.C.
Let me ask you this. I've been following this story for more than 2 years now, even prior to the election, looking at election interference. I speak to both Republicans and Democrats. Both Republicans and Democrats have been briefed on the intelligence, say that the evidence is, let's set aside 2016 for a moment, that the evidence is that Russia is still performing probing attacks on not just social media, etc., but on election systems, that those attacks continue, and in fact they expect Russia to interfere again in 2018 and 2020. Why isn't the president showing leadership on this issue to defend future elections from Russian interference? elections. And aren't you, as an American, disappointed by that?
Well, no, I believe the president does respect the election process and wants the election process to be secure, just as we do and just as I do, because that's critical to the functioning of our democracy. But to think that Russia and other countries across the world are not going to try to influence our election is just to live in denial. This has been going on for decades.
The question is, what is
interest into our election process, and that is just the reality of the situation. We just have to be smart and learn.
The question is, what are we doing about it? I mean, I'm sure you watched the hearing 2 months ago with the chiefs of the intelligence agencies, Mike Rogers of the NSA, Dan Coates of ODNI. They were asked by senators whether they've been instructed by this president to do something about election interference, to take action to prevent those attacks, and they all answered no, unequivocally. How is that president's leadership?
Well, I think there's leadership there in regards to the integrity of the system, making sure that the ballot box is secure. I've seen commitments that making sure that voter fraud and abuses are outlined too.
You can think that, but the intelligence chiefs who would do that job are saying they've been given those specific instructions by the president. I mean, you're an American. You like me want the system to be, the integrity to be unchallenged there. But doesn't that disappoint you as an American?
Well, let's just be clear. Each state controls its election process and making sure that the integrity there. We and the federal obviously want an interest in making sure that the election process is secure. And there have been resources given to the states to make sure that the process is secure. And the fact is, people filter this information. People are not stupid. People get this information and they come to their own conclusions. And that's what's one of the troublesome themes I see from the other side of the aisle, that somehow the people are duped by this information. They are not. People are very smart, in my humble opinion.
Let me ask you if I can, and I appreciate you taking the hard questions on that topic. About another topic, you're aware of the various scandals engulfing the EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt. CNN now reporting that administration officials believe that the president is losing patience with him, that it's inching towards a tipping point. One administration official told my colleague Jeff Zeleny. Do you believe it's time for Scott Pruitt to go?
Obviously, I have some serious concerns about the EPA director and the activity that's on there. I'll leave that to him to make that determination, as well as the president, the director serves at the directive of. And so, I think at the end of the day, this will take its own course, and we'll have a conclusion that makes sure that these individuals no one's above the law. Everyone is held accountable.
Would you do the kind of things, or accept the kind of things that Scott Pruitt is accused of doing? Keep a secret calendar, to take trips that seem a little bit like boondoggles that cost a lot of money for taxpayers. Would you find that acceptable yourself?
No, I try to obviously engage as a representative of the people, making sure that we're always listened to, that we're always accessible to them, and to do things in a way that always bring
nice.
To be beyond that type of discussion
Bounce.
and approach.
On North Korea, if I could ask as well, because of course there are a lot of topics, there are a lot of stories in the news. You're with Secretary Mike Pompeo. He's heading to North Korea tomorrow, continuing these discussions with the Kim regime over their nuclear program. I'm sure you're aware of reports, including a Defense Intelligence Agency assessment that North Korea is not denuclearizing. In fact, might be making efforts to hide some of its nuclear program. What is your assessment of the status of negotiations with North Korea? Have you seen anything from the North Korean side that gives you confidence that they're serious about this?
Well, obviously I was very hopeful and took Kim Jong-un at his word when he met with the president at the summit that he was going to commit to denuclearization. But as I stated at the time in my public statement, I know the history of this dictator. I know that his irresponsible behavior is what is at the root of his operations, and I'm very concerned. If Kim Jong-un does not commit himself to peace and denuclearization, military options really will become at some point in time, the only option that's available to take out this threat to our American coastline and to millions of Americans who could be killed in a nuclear holocaust.
Congressman Tom Reed, appreciate you taking some time out of the July 4th holiday.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Enjoy the day. Okay, coming up, mystery in the UK. 2 people collapsed just miles from where a former Russian spy was poisoned. Could this be another poisoning? We're going to go live to Scotland Yard for the latest on that story. And their discovery brought relief and elation, but now really an impossible choice. How to get them out safely. The new efforts to free a team of young soccer players trapped in a pitch-black cave.
on, wind.
Black Angus beef. Burgers so burger.
Yeah.
We even burgered our name. To IHOP. Combo starting at $6.99 with unlimited fries and a drink. IHOP.
Your brain changes as you get older, but Prevagen helps your brain with an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. In clinical trials, Prevagen has been shown to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, the name to remember.
Children shouldn't have to battle cancer, but they do.
My name is Abby, and I have Ewing sarcoma. St. Jude is trying to make it go away.
My name is Randall, and I have leukemia. I just finished my high-dose chemo.
You can join
Some orange juice.
lives by supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
Our son was diagnosed with a medullary brain tumor. I remember hoping that he would make it to his first birthday.
Families never receive a bill from St. Jude for treatment, travel, housing, or food, because all the family should worry about is helping their child live. Please call or go online right now and become a St. Jude Partner in Hope for only $19 a month.
You don't realize the magnitude of how much it really helped somebody. You know, I just want to say thank you.
1 in 5 children diagnosed with cancer will not survive.
I didn't want any other parents to have to go through this. I don't know where we would be without this hospital.
When you join with your credit or debit card right now, we'll send you the St. Jude t-shirt you can wear to show your support for the children of St. Jude.
St. Jude gives you all of that hope back. They gave me my daughter back.
St. Jude won't stop until no child dies from cancer.
These children fight hard. They fight for their life. And I don't think we can do it without you.
Please call or go online right now.
Whatever it is that makes your business great, promote it with Vistaprint. 500 standard business cards start at just $9.99 when you enter code TVPromo at Vistaprint.com.
Change has come to America.
Right now, British counterterrorism officers are investigating a case with striking similarities to the poisoning earlier this year of a former Russian spy and his daughter. Here's how police describe what happened to 45-year-old Charlie Rowley and 44-year-old Don Sturgis.
Wiltshire Police and partners have declared a major incident after 2 people were hospitalised following their potential exposure to an unknown substance in Amesbury. It was initially believed that the 2 patients fell ill after potentially using contaminated illegal drugs. However, further testing is now ongoing to establish the substance which led to these patients becoming ill.
One reason the incident is concerning is its close proximity to Salisbury. That is where Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia were found slumped on an outdoor bench in March. It was later found that they were poisoned with Novichok, a suspected military nerve agent, and suspicion is that Russia was behind it. Senior international correspondent Victor Walsh, who is outside Scotland Yard, has been following this story for us. Dick, what have we been learning today about this?
Well, Jim, you said the striking similarities here. The biggest one, frankly, is the geography, which you mentioned, so close to where Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia were struck down by that Russian nerve agent, but also to the response of British officials and the British government and police. There, of course, was on the highest alert imaginable after what happened on the Skripals. But frankly, apart from the fact counter-terrorism police have been used to try and work out what this unknown substance is, and the British government have said they're dealing with this with the utmost seriousness, to some degree that's where the similarities begin to end, because those two individuals, Charles Rowley and Dawn Sturgis, 45 and 44 years old respectively, are locals to Wiltshire. There's a Russian connection there on the surface at all, and at this stage exactly what the substance is, meaning that a longer time has elapsed now with British police on higher alert than they were before for them to identify what the substance was than it took for them to identify a novel agent that tried to kill the Skripal people there. This is really about an incident that seems to have happened on Saturday, where this couple were at home. Something made Dawn, the younger of the two, ill in the morning. Charles fell ill later in the day. Ambulances came on both occasions, and then it was in the hours after that that the contamination began to be dealt with. We saw police in protective clothing, but still at this stage they don't know what that substance was. And you've got to bear in mind that there's psychology here, a real sense of fear in Britain, but also a big question. There's so little connectedness to Russia, it doesn't look like a replication of the Skripal incident, but that's still the case of what is that substance, and that could be a nasty surprise, Jim.
Certainly they're taking care of this one. Outside Scotland are there. Thanks very much. Coming up, new emergency teams racing to save a group of young soccer players trapped deep in a cave. Heavy rain about to move in, and a rescue there needs to happen fast. Here we are.
You don't always use your smartphone to like something.
What is it? What is this?
You don't always use it to share something. But when it matters most, you count on TrackPhone to keep you connected for less.
Can you send that to me? Yeah.
Our new smartphone plan gives you talk, text, and data with unlimited carrier for starting at $15 a month, no contract. All with nationwide 4G LTE coverage. Get top smartphones or bring your own phone. TrackPhone for moments that matter.
I always wanted to speak French, but I never had the time. And then I tried Babbel.
Babbel, the quick way to get conversational in a new language. Babbel's award-winning interactive technology gets you speaking right away.
After just 4 weeks,
that's no good.
Confident enough to have simple conversations in French. Their app uses a science-based spaced repetition method that really helps you retain what you learn. It works.
So, which language do you want to speak? Now, you can try Babbel free, the #1 selling language learning app in the world.
Learning phrases that you can use right away in real-life conversations. I was amazed at how fast it was, and now I'm speaking French. I always thought I was bad at languages, but after using Babbel, I can see I was just talking along the way.
Try Babbel free today. Go to Babbel.com or download the app and see why Babbel is the quick way to get conversational in a new language. Babbel, which language do you want to speak?
Closed captioning brought to you by OnlyMeso.com.
Mesothelioma, it's all we do. With 7 offices across the country, let us come meet with you. Call us at 1-800-213-8000.
Damn it. That was off.
Great TV comes in many forms. There's something about watching that and going, some of that.
Just.
A whole new level on television. The 2000s, Sunday at 9, only on CNN.
Ford Store Morgan Hills 4th of July Celebration is going on now. It's our biggest sale of the year, and now an extra $1,000 Ford trade-in rebate. Get a new F-150 Super Crew XLT for $12,500 net saving. Only at the Ford Store Morgan Hill.
Hurry to your California Ford dealers 4th of July Celebration. Hang out $1,000 trade assist on select 2018 models, plus huge limited time savings on our most popular vehicles. Every Ford car, truck, and SUV is priced to move. For a limited time, get $9,550 total savings on a 2018 Ford F-150, or get $4,000 total cash on Explorer, or buy an Explorer with 0 for 60 plus $2,000 bonus cash. The 4th of July Celebration ends soon, so hurry in and save big. Only at your California Ford dealers.
The Ford Store Morgan Hills 4th of July Celebration is going on now, and it's our biggest sale of the year. Right now, lease a new Escape SE for only $169 a month, or a new XLT for $279 a month. Only at the Ford Store Morgan Hill.
And welcome back. There is a nationwide manhunt underway right now for 3 men accused of kidnapping and raping 2 teenage sisters in Ohio. The victims, they were just 13 and 14 years old. They were held against their will at a motel before they eventually turned up in an emergency room. CNN's Kaylee Hartung joining us now. Kaylee, what do we understand? There's a 4th suspect that's now in custody.
That's right, Jim. One man is already in custody in Ohio. Simon Juan Thomas is being charged with unlawful sexual assault with a minor, but there are 3 other men who were on the run.
Turn,
bitch. Police that in detectives' investigation of this case, they have found that all 4 of these men, though, have fraudulent paperwork in regards to their immigration status. Thomas, the man in custody, he's from Guatemala. Juan and Deal, who you see there on the left, as well as David Contreras, are from Mexico. The 4th man, Arnolfo Ramos, his home country is unknown. Now, Bowling Green police tell us that their focus here remains on the alleged sexual assault, but with the information of these men's immigration status, ICE is involved in this manhunt as well. The police were first made aware of this incident on June 28th when the girl's mother took them to a hospital following this alleged assault. Otherwise, the details here are largely unknown. Jim, Bowling Green police telling us this is a very personal and difficult investigation for many of them.
You know, those 13 and 14-year-old girls, and they're your daughters, so obviously it's very emotional. And it's difficult for us as officers because we have to stay objective to investigate the case. However, a lot of us have children.
3 of those men, as we've said, continue to be on the run. Jim, ICE involved in that manhunt, though when we reached out to them for comment, they said they would have no comment for us today. The last sighting of one of them, Contreras, was on Saturday afternoon at a Walmart in Holland, Illinois. Otherwise, they continue to run. Police say they are dangerous.
Just an appalling crime. Kaylee Hartung, thanks very much for following the story. Coming up, a Fox News contributor called to report about the Iran deal totally made up BS. So why did the president himself blast it out to 50 million followers? Tracking the dubious story that went all the way to the president's Twitter feed. Next.
This is important for people with asthma.
Yes. It's a targeted medicine proven to help prevent severe asthma attacks and lower oral steroid use.
About 50% of people with severe asthma have too many cells called eosinophils in their lungs. Fasenra is designed to work with the body to target and remove eosinophils.
Fasenra is an add-on injection for people 12 and up with severe eosinophilic asthma. Don't use Fasenra for sudden breathing problems or other problems caused by eosinophils. Fasenra may cause headache, sore throat, and allergic reactions. Get help right away with swelling of your face, mouth, and tongue, or trouble breathing. Don't stop your asthma treatments unless your doctor tells you to. Tell your doctor if your asthma worsens or if you have a parasitic infection.
Fasenra is a targeted treatment for eosinophilic asthma.
That's important.
Ask an asthma specialist about Fasenra.
And now for the ratings. I'm a 40-year-old ring bearer with a bad habit of swallowing stuff. And if you don't have the right coverage, you can be paying for that price you look at yourself. So get an Allstate agent and be better protected from a man like me.
You shouldn't be rushed into booking a hotel. With Expedia's add-on advantage, booking a flight unlocks discounts on select hotels until the day you leave for your trip. Add-on advantage, only when you book with Expedia.
Can I say something very quickly? Why do we have to fight?
Free TV comes in many forms. There's literally a reality show for everyone now. There's something watching that and going,
Please don't make it drunk.
Level on television.
Shit.
The decade gave us television reflecting what America looks like.
The 2000s, Sunday at 9, only on CNN. Come, see the Bay Area's finest collection of luxury timepieces in a one-of-a-kind watch boutique at Davidson and Licht. Each of them is complimentary and lifetime refinishing by our certified watchmaker and servicing at our authorized in-house repair center. Experience the difference at Davidson and Licht, the Bay Area's luxury timepiece
networks experts. Davidson & Benz, serving the Bay Area since 1960.
Does your business internet provider Let's see. There's more. Comcast Business gives you Kingswood and wireless. The others don't. We offer up to 6 hours of 4G wireless network backup. Everyone else, no way. We let calls from any of your devices to your business. Them, not so much. We let you keep an eye on your business from anywhere. The others, nope. Get internet on our Kingswood network and add voice and TV for $34.90 more per month. Call or go online today.
Torrential rains are heading for Thailand within days, and that is adding to the urgency of around-the-clock effort to rescue 12 boys and their soccer coach from a flooded cave. They've been trapped now for a week and a half. Dive teams were in the cave today. The kids practice breathing the oxygen mask they're going to need if it is decided to bring them out the same way they entered. That means going through the water.
Never a fucking chance.
Jonathan, the boys spending another night underground. I mean, what's the time frame here? It seems like it's swinging back from
never a chance.
Potentially until the rains are gone to getting them out sooner. Do we have any more clarity?
Well, I'm not sure I can offer clarity, Jim, but you know, it just wasn't a very attractive option to have those boys stuck down there until the monsoon ended by the end of October. So there is a real sense of urgency here now, and there seems to be an effort to try to get the boys out by the way they came in, except of course now, unlike when they entered the cave, it's pretty much submerged. So they have, as you said, been training the kids how to use scuba gear, and hopefully there will be this window of opportunity offered by the weather. There's been another rain-free day here. It's merciful because it's allowed them to practice evacuations. There are 47 divers down there right now. The cave opening is just about 200 yards behind me here, and there are teams going up and down, and 4 divers going into the cave constantly, putting supplies in of food and medicine. The boys seem to be in reasonable condition, and I think the hope is that they will be strong enough to get out soon.
Let's hope so. It's been a long time in there. Jonathan Miller, thanks for following that story. Is the president pushing fake news on Twitter? Well, Trump attacked his predecessor, saying, quote, just out, the Obama administration granted citizenship during the terrible Iran deal negotiation to 2,500 Iranians. That bold claim coming a day after Fox News published an article claiming the same thing. Problem? Fox News cited an Iranian news agency that cited an Iranian newspaper that quoted a single Iranian cleric, and immigration data from the Department of Homeland Security does not show an uptick in Iranian immigrants during the Obama presidency. CNN senior media reporter Oliver Darcy, he's been looking into the story, joins me now from New York. So Oliver, I mean, it seems pretty clear this was a false story. How did we get here with the president tweeting this out to 50 million people?
Well, it's certainly unnerving, and it seems to be another example of the president looking to right-wing media and consuming right-wing media, and then using what he consumes to stoke a political conspiracy theory about one of his political opponents. In this case, he took a Fox News story that was published on Monday, a very thinly sourced story, and he just effectively tweeted out the thrust of the article without fact-checking it. The story was tweeted, Obama officials quickly refuted it last night on the Situation Room. Jake Sullivan said it was not true, and Jeff Prescott, who was the director of the National Security Council under Obama, told CNN that this is just false. He shared with us the Department of Homeland Security numbers that show that there was no uptick in naturalizations of Iranians before and after the Iranian nuclear negotiations. It just remains relatively consistent through the Bush and Obama years. Nevertheless, the president went out there on Twitter and posted this false information, and here we are.
Don't let the facts get in the way of the tweet. And yet, this sort of symbiotic relationship between Fox and the White House maybe getting closer. Trump hiring a former Fox News executive, Bill Shines. What's his job going to be?
We are told at CNN that he's going to be overseeing communications. I don't think his official title has been announced yet by the White House, but it's going to be in a communications capacity. Jordan, you know, he is a former co-president of Fox News, now in charge of communications at the White House, and he's a buddy of Sean Hannity, so it's going to be interesting to see what the White House's communication strategy is going forward.
And of course accused of at least covering up, possibly, or not addressing accusations of sexual assault. And Oliver Darcy, thanks very much for digging on that story for us. That's it for me. I'm Jim Chudo in for Wolf Today. The news continues on CNN right now.
Jim Chudo, thank you so much. Hi, and happy 4th of July, everyone, and welcome to a special holiday edition of CNN Newsroom. I'm Brooke Baldwin. We begin with breaking news. Congressman Jim Jordan defiant and unequivocally denying the explosive accusations that he turned a blind eye to sexual abuse while he was this assistant wrestling coach at Ohio State University years ago. Now, the university announced back in April it was investigating allegations that Dr. Richard Strauss abused several wrestling team members. This goes back to the mid-70s to the late 90s. Strauss has since died, but his tenure there overlapped with now Congressman Jim Jordan, who was at the time a former assistant wrestling coach at the school. So, Gene Casares is back on the today, and I know, Gene, you have two key people in this speaking out in just the past couple of hours.
That's right, and Congressman Jim Jordan just spoke out publicly for the first time
that's not enough.
at a July event in Ohio, saying that he did not know that any abuse was going on to the male athletes while he was an assistant coach at Ohio State University. And it was a massive investigation going on right now by independent counsel in Ohio. The allegation is that this doctor, Richard Strauss, who was the team doctor for athletics at the university for 2 decades, that he would treat athletes for their injuries, and while they were in the examination room, along with the doctor, he would sexually molest them. I spoke with Michael D. Sabato, who was a wrestler back in the day when this doctor was there, along with Congressman Jordan. And he says that he is a victim, and he says that Congressman Jim Jordan knew about this because everybody in the wrestling department did.
Crap!
I was close to both Jim and Coach Ellison. We talked openly within our locker room about Strauss in particular, that he was a serial broker. But I can tell you right now, he's not telling the truth. Because he did know, he has knowledge, he was there over 8 years. It's impossible to ignore the training environment. It was deviant, chaotic.
Now, Congressman Jordan just said he did know Dr. Richard Strauss, and he did know that he went into the shower area where the athletes did, but he explained it further, which Michael D. Sabato acknowledges, that the shower facilities were in the center of the university, and professors and others would go into the male shower facilities. It was just sort of an open shower that anyone could go in. He also said that he's spoken to other coaches, that they also didn't know the abuse was going on. And here is Jim Jordan in his own words minutes ago from Ohio.
Mike Russ, of course, was a friend, but something's changed. It's, things he said are just not true. No abuse, never heard of abuse. If we had, we'd have reported it. And if in fact there,
come on, Wayne, knock it down.
If in fact there's
knock it down, baby.
Victims, obviously, like I said, we're happy to talk with the folks who are doing the investigation. But doesn't mean things they said about me just flat out not true.
And Congressman Jordan goes on to say that he has gotten emails from this former wrestler. The latest one was at 4:30 this morning. He characterizes them as strange, and at this point says he believes that his office will be going to the Capitol Hill Police to let them know. And one other thing, Brooke, the counsel for the university told CNN yesterday that they had reached out to Congressman Jordan by email, by phone, asking him to do an interview as part of this investigation, that they hadn't heard from him. His office, and he confirms on camera that they have gone through all of their communications, they can't find anything. So they are asking the Office of Counsel of Ohio State University, what did you send us? We want to see it, because we are here to assist you.
We're staying on this.
Pretty tough one.
wrestler who is leveling these allegations all these years later, coming up next hour, so stay tuned for that. Gene, thank you so much. To the White House now, where the President and the First Lady are hosting a July 4th picnic for military families out on the South Lawn. Later they will enjoy fireworks. But on Monday, the President he is also facing a
fucking three-foot.
embattled EPA chief facing a new wave of ethics violations. A senior administration official now says Pruitt is quote-unquote forward to the tipping point. We are also learning from our sources that Pruitt, back in the spring, made a direct appeal to President Trump to fire his Attorney General. So to fire Jeff Sessions and to temporarily hire him for the job. This, as we are learning new details about a conversation that happened between the President and his top foreign policy advisors. President Trump asking about possible U.S. military invasion in Venezuela. Let's go to our White House correspondent, Laura Sanchez, on all of the above.
Oh, come on.
Let's start with this whole
Thought that was
Scott
good.
Pruitt
Clear.
conversation with the President involving Jeff Sessions. Tell me what you know about that.
Fucking wind.
Yeah, Brooke, several sources telling CNN that earlier this year, Scott Pruitt apparently asked President Trump if he would fire his Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, and at least temporarily put him in that role for some 200 days or so, vacancy act, before he would then move back to Oklahoma and run for political office. Of course, we know that President Trump is very publicly displeased with his Attorney General, Jeff Sessions. He's called him a leader before, and so it doesn't necessarily come as a surprise that perhaps the President has been
Alright, it's a little 50-footer for
this is on top of all the allegations of ethical and possible financial
just a little 54-footer.
we should point out is being investigated through 14 separate federal probes that we know of, and it also comes on the heels of recent reporting, a senior administration official telling CNN that they believe that Scott Pruitt is inching closer to a tipping point with President Trump. The White House has been open to the President.
It's a nice course. Looks good. Didn't see any defects at all. Looks really nice, actually.
So far, Trump said that Pruitt is doing a good job with the EPA.
As usual. Very nice.
We'll see where things land with Scott Pruitt. This official is wondering aloud just how much longer Scott Pruitt could keep his job, because the timing is important here, Brooke. Keep in mind, midterm elections are only a few months away, and Democrats could potentially use these controversies, these allegations against Pruitt, to build campaign ads that essentially